Okay, and welcome to this very special episode of the UFO Show on this day, November 7th, 2021, otherwise known as MLS Decision Day. We have all the teams playing at basically the exact same time to help determine who makes the playoffs and who misses out. So this week we brought in an expert on all things MLS. You may have heard him from the unnamed sports show, or Van Slam, or his appearances on Point Shot Hockey, the one, the only Joshua Griffiths.
Adam, thanks so much for having me today. Yeah, like you said, really exciting Sunday, decision day in the MLS. I love how they do it. They have all of the Eastern teams starting here at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, 3:30 out there in the East, and then they have all of the Western Conference teams getting underway at the same time at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So it's a great day if you're a soccer or a footy fan like myself.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago, I don't know if they still do this. They used to have the chart online on the website where you could watch the teams going up and down, and they used to have these timelines that you could watch after the fact of when teams jumped up and when teams dropped below the bar. So MLS definitely does it right.
They should be having the live standings again. So as the matches are going on, say if it's a 1-1 draw between Toronto and DC United, it's going to show you in the standings where that's going to take everybody. So as the matches are going on, you're going to get to see who's jumping into those playoff spots. And Adam, like this year, we have such a playoff race, and it's in both sides. I know we're going to spend more of our time on the West, but there's 11 teams that are vying for 6 different playoff spots. So it's great stuff.
And as you can tell, Josh is a little bit of a Whitecaps fan, just based off his interior from behind.
That's just the stuff that you can see too. But I had to start mellowing that out after I started covering the team, because you're not allowed to cheer in the media booth. You're not allowed to fanboy out as much as I maybe used to be able to do.
Yes, I've noticed I had the exact same problem with the Giants, where you want to be like, wow, that was such an amazing goal, or stand up and cheer for a fight or something, and you're like, nope, got to stay here and sit quietly. And
gotta get your pen out and go, yeah, I thought very well of that goal, but let's see how it works for the other team as well.
Exactly. When you see a bicycle kick that nobody's ever done before, you have to sit there monitoring.
No. That's when you get out of your seat and you can cheer. If there's a bicycle kick, you can. I think one of the times that I've heard the most reaction in a fan booth was when the Whitecaps came home last season and they were playing some of their MLS matches at BC Place in front of an empty stadium. It was the time Freddie Montero got punched in the knee. I think it was against Montreal, might have been against Toronto. Well, I only have a 50% chance, right? Because I only played those 2 teams. But it was very audible in the media booth, the sound of the punch, and there was some gasps coming out of the box. That's for sure.
So why don't we jump right in here? Remember, all of our bets today are from bet99.com. So if you head over to the area51sportsnetwork.com/betting, you use the link on the website, and then you can get up to $600 back as a bonus off of your initial deposit. So however much money you put into the site, that's how much you get in a bonus, up to $600. So speaking of that, why don't we jump in here? We're going to run through the Western teams, and then we'll take a look at maybe 1 or 2 Eastern Conference. Actually, why don't we jump into the Eastern Conference? We're about to start. We'll do the 2 Canadian teams here. Why don't we start Montreal versus Orlando City SC? So right now, Montreal is the favorite at +110, Orlando at +240, and then the draw is +240. So do you think Montreal can take this one?
It's going to be tough for Montreal, right? They're sitting in 8th. They need a win. I mean, a draw could maybe do it if they get some help from New York, but I think that one, if you're looking to take Montreal, you're maybe hoping for a draw, because that's really all Orlando is going to need to secure a playoff spot in this one. So it's going to be tough, and especially at those, you're not getting very good odds on Montreal at the win, so you might as well just take just slightly lower on the draw.
And then the other team, the other Canadian team that does exist, the Toronto FC. So they're eliminated. The game doesn't really matter too much for them, which is fantastic. But they're playing DC United, and that game that actually has big, I guess, consequences because DC United have to win that game. So they have to win, and New York has to lose to Nashville, and Montreal has to lose or tie to Orlando. So right now, DC United is at plus 145. Toronto FC is at plus 166. And the draw is at plus 266. So it's a little bit surprising that, DC United is at that close of a line.
Well, the match is being played in Toronto. It's going to be the last match for Toronto, regardless of the results tonight. DC United are, like you said, they need that win. They need all 3 points. And you got to imagine Toronto would love nothing more than to spoil the party just by sawing off a draw. I have some stakes in this one as Felipe plays for DC United, and he's in the starting lineup tonight. So I will be cheering for DC United. You're going to have to get that one off quick, all these bets, because I believe kickoff is in about 12 minutes for most of these matches.
Do you like Felipe? We couldn't tell.
Oh, you can't see that. I guess the one right directly over my my right shoulder is a picture of me and Felipe. Yes, but no, I'm a big fan. So for that one, I'm thinking you take the money on the tie because Toronto at home is going to do everything they can to spoil DC's party.
So just a question: what's it like being best friends with a professional soccer player?
Well, it's a shame because he's off at DC now, so he's a different time zone, and he's got his kids. He's busy, so we don't get to connect as much as we used to, or as I'd like. But he's busy, so hopefully, gonna get him on my show, the Unnamed Sports Show, here on the Sports Talkline Network after the season wraps up. Hopefully, weeks from now, and they've lost to the Whitecaps in the MLS final. That was our my joking prediction with him before the season started. I said, I hope DC makes the MLS final, but then loses to the Whitecaps. He said, hey, fair enough.
Okay, so those games are about to start, so make sure to get your bets in right now. We're going to jump over to the West, and we're going to kind of go top to bottom here. That's kind of how they've laid it out. So we're going to start with the Colorado Rapids versus the LAFC. So for Colorado to clinch top spot in the West, they need to win. Seattle needs to lose or tie to Vancouver. Kansas City needs to lose or tie to Salt Lake. And then Colorado, they are battling for positioning as well. And once I can find on the website where they're already solidified into their position, correct?
Yeah, so it's a jumbled up Western Conference, both at the top of the standings, looking for that number 1 seed and the only bye. Seattle's leading the way with 59 points. Right behind them is Kansas City with 58 and Colorado with 58. None of the 3 teams play each other, so they do all have something to play for tonight, which is going to play a big factor into these, 5 teams that are fighting for those last 3 playoff spots in the bottom of the West.
Yeah, so for LAFC, they need to win, and Vancouver needs to lose, or Salt Lake has to lose or tie to Kansas City. So LAFC needs a win, essentially. Right now, they're at plus 190. Colorado's at plus 128, and the draw is at plus 250. Do you think that LAFC can pull off the comeback or the upset here?
LFC is a really strong team, and they've kind of underperformed all year. But, if you look at some of their players, Christian Arango has, if you thought Brian White has been hot going into the last game, Christian Arango has 1 more goal and the same amount of assists and a hat trick in just 1 last game. So, Carlos Vela is in nice form. They're using him as a super sub. I think they're kind of hitting their stride. Unlike the Whitecaps, they're hitting their stride just a little bit too late to do it. And then Colorado's playing at home. It's November in Colorado. They're going to have a little bit of advantage, and they have something to play here. So I'm taking Colorado. You're not getting much value out of them, but if you don't want to throw money away, then probably take Colorado on this.
The good thing about all of these games is that they are pretty even, so you will win a little bit of money. We don't really have any minus, so that's good. Let's jump over to so Portland, Austin. Portland's at minus 137. This game doesn't really have any value to the standings because both teams are solidified in where they're going to stand.
Yeah.
So is that one where Portland's at minus 137, a draw's at plus 300, and then Austin's at plus 325? Is that kind of like you take Portland and just kind of leave it at there?
Well, the match is at Providence Park. So realistically with this one, they're going to want to put in a nice showing in front of their home fans. They're going to get a home playoff game coming up here, but they never want to lose. Austin has been in pretty good form. They crushed Sporting Kansas City, which I don't think anyone saw in last match. But I think for this one, maybe you're getting a lot of value at the 300 with that draw. So this one's probably one of the only value matches we're getting this week. So I say, throw some money down on that draw and hope Austin can maybe spoil the party at home for Portland. Because like you said, they're in fourth. They're not going anywhere. A win doesn't move them up. A loss doesn't move them down. No one's catching them. So they might be resting, and you could see a lot of squad rotation for this game.
Okay. And then why don't we jump over to a game that has a lot of meaning, the LA Galaxy versus Minnesota. Okay, so let's run down this. LA Galaxy will clinch a berth if LA wins, or they tie, Vancouver loses, and Salt Lake loses, or they tie, Vancouver loses, and LAFC loses or ties, or Salt Lake loses or ties versus Kansas City, and LAFC lose or tie. And then Minnesota will clinch a spot if they win or tie versus LA, Vancouver loses to Seattle, and Salt Lake loses or ties to Kansas City. Vancouver loses and LAFC loses or ties. And then Salt Lake City loses or ties, and LAFC loses or ties. Okay, so that
was a mouthful.
Yes, that one cannot end in a draw, basically. So you might see a lot of pushing and shoving close to the end. The LA Galaxy, our first clear favorite, from a playoff perspective, minus 115, Minnesota plus 300, and then a draw plus 260. Do you think the Loons have a chance here?
I think you're going to see Minnesota playing a lot for the draw. They've had a strong team, but their form's been a little bit shabby of late. They gave up results to Vancouver when they could have pretty much sealed things for themselves for playoffs. They're moving into the struggling, but they know that, like Vancouver, just 1 point, and that's going to guarantee them, a match after the international break and in the playoffs. So I think they're just going to be kind of pushing for that draw.
See, my all-time favorite is when Michael Boxall scored his own goal, and the Whitecaps tweeted out that they finally got a goal from Michael Boxall after 5-6 years. Fantastic tweet right there.
It was an ultimate trolling job there by the Whitecaps social media team. It was nice to see, and it would have had to eat their words a bit if the Minnesota was able to come back, but luckily they were able to hold on for that result.
And then they went out and wrote an inappropriate tweet about the Queen. So it was just
I saw that one briefly. Yeah.
It was a really mixed bag of Whitecaps tweets.
I don't work until tomorrow fucking night, bro. I'm sad.
Okay, so let's jump into San Jose versus Dallas here. So let's just we'll quickly find the what's going on in that game, if it does have any significance. I think you can maybe answer that. I don't think it does.
That's a nothing game.
Yeah, that's a nothing game, if I remember. Yeah. Okay, so San Jose plus 100, Dallas plus 233, draw plus 280.
Plus 280 for a draw. You could take that value all day.
Okay, so we'll move on.
There's nothing for them to play for. There's no relegation in MLS.
So let me ask you one question then. Do you think that this is Christian Wondolowski's last year?
No.
No?
No, he's got a nice role coming off the bench. He's going to just continue to come off the bench, pad to his MLS all-time leading goal stats.
What happened? Sorry.
Is this his last game in San Jose? Is probably the better question.
I'd probably not. There'd be riots in San Jose if they got rid of Chris Wondolowski. It's not like you have to really play him for longer than 15 minutes in a match.
Yeah, but it's possible that he could decide to, do a cup chase.
Yeah, but it's the MLS, right? So you're realistically flipping a coin. We get the added team next year, so it's going to be 28 teams. What is he hoping that it's Seattle or Portland or New England again has a strong year?
Yeah, New England just came out of nowhere, by the way. I think also because we haven't watched them this year. It seems like they've come out of nowhere. Like I couldn't name you like one player on New England just because I haven't seen them play. But like they're setting MLS records this year.
Yeah, they set the MLS record with 73 points in a season to capture the Supporters Shield. So no, they got some strong players on their team. But yes, they did kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I guess if you do have if you win the Supporters Shield, you probably have some okay players. Yeah. Or you're just super lucky somehow. See, this is what happens when you don't have to play Seattle and Portland and LAFC. You just rocket up the top of the East.
Well, yeah, if you look at the standings, they are a little bit more skewed this season with the Western Conference being more strong at the top and the Eastern Conference just being more top heavy, with New England kind of running away with things. Okay,
yes. Okay, so let's jump into another complicated match here. Sporting Kansas City versus Real Salt Lake. Okay, so let's run down the scenario here. Sporting Kansas City is gunning for top spot in the West, and that means that they get their bye. So they have to win, and Seattle has to lose or tie to Vancouver, or Kansas City has to tie. Seattle has to lose by more than one goal. Colorado has to lose or tie versus LAFC, or Kansas City has to tie. Seattle has to lose by one goal. Colorado has to lose or tie, and Kansas City has to win total goals scored versus Seattle. And then on the Real Salt Lake side, it's pretty simple. If they win, they clinch a playoff spot. So right now, Sporting Kansas City is at minus 140. Real Salt Lake's at plus 333, and a draw is at plus 300. So where are you leaning on this one?
Sorry, what were the numbers again?
Sporting Kansas City minus 140. A draw is plus 300, and Real Salt Lake is at plus 333.
Oh, this is probably one of the most exciting games, like just from a neutral perspective to watch because of the stakes for Sporting Kansas City, of the stakes for Real Salt Lake. Probably going to see a big push from Real Salt Lake at the end. I like the value for a draw because I think that's more of a realistic result. I think it's going to be really hard for Salt Lake to come out with a victory in Sporting Kansas City when they have so much to play for. I love how it's set up with the three top teams playing three teams that are fighting for playoff spots, because there's that first round bye that the teams want, and then there's obviously the playoff stakes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure, these games. So let's jump into the one that I guess matters the most for people out here on the West Coast. The Seattle Sounders versus the Vancouver Whitecaps with a lot to play for. Okay, so very simple. Seattle wins. Okay, not very simple, but let's run through the scenario here. So Seattle is going for top seed in the West. They need to win. If they win, they're top seed of the West. If they do not win, they need to tie, Kansas City to tie, and Colorado to lose or tie. Or they need Kansas City to lose and Colorado to lose or tie. Or they need Seattle has to lose by one goal only. Kansas City has to tie. Colorado has to lose or tie. And Seattle has to win total goals scored versus Kansas City. Now, the Whitecaps, on the other end, are playing for their playoff lives. They need a winner or a tie versus Seattle. If they do not get that, there are three scenarios that can happen for the Whitecaps to make it. They need LA to lose, Salt Lake to lose or tie, or they need LA to lose, LAFC to lose or tie, or they need Salt Lake City to lose or tie, and then LAFC to lose or tie. So for this game, we have the Vancouver Whitecaps at plus 210. A draw gets you plus 225, and a Seattle Sounders win is plus 130. Do you think the Whitecaps have what it takes to pull off, I guess, this upset and secure their place in the MLS playoffs?
I think they do. I think you're gonna see the result. I don't think they're gonna want to let it beat a chance and have to, head off the pitch after, go to the locker room and check the scores to see if they made it in. We're looking at like 22,000 fans. Last time I checked, there was just under like 1,500 tickets left available. It's going to be the biggest crowd in BC. I'm going Whitecaps win all day on this one, and I'll give you another couple reasons why. The last time that the Seattle Sounders won in Vancouver was March 30th, 2019. Or sorry, that was the last time they played against Vancouver at home at BC Place, was March 30th, 2019. The last time they scored a goal was September 15th, 2018 at BC Place. Just because of a couple different results and Vancouver being in Portland and Real Salt Lake, it's not a very familiar place for the Sounders to play. They're coming in on pretty bad form. The last 5 matches, they've had 2 draws and 3 losses. And 2 draws and 3 losses. So, but it's going to be big stakes for them. But I do think the Whitecaps are going to come away with the result. So the margins on the draw and the win for the Whitecaps aren't too different. So maybe, hammer home that draw. But, if you're feeling like me, then, you're taking the Whitecaps win all day. You're banking those 3 points.
Now, there is another little extra part to this game, and that is the Cascadia Cup. Will be awarded tonight. So, what is it? Vancouver needs to win by 4 or more goals to collect the Cascadia Cup. Is that correct?
Yeah, Vancouver needs to win by 4 or more, and they can leave with a trophy, some hardware, and kind of, I guess, stick it to Seattle a little bit more. But that's going to be a very, very heavy ask. And I can't imagine if the Whitecaps get up 2 goals, they're going to be pressing too heavy for that 3rd or 4th one. I mean, obviously they have a pretty dangerous counterattack. And if they lower their block a bit, I can definitely see them having counter opportunities. But I think at that point, if we're in the 60th, 70th minute, you're going to see Vanni Sartini make some defensive changes, maybe take off an attacking player and kind of switch the form a bit just to hold on to that result.
So if you want to put a bet down on the Whitecaps to win the Cascadia Cup here today, the odds for an over 3.5 Whitecaps total. So they would essentially have to win 4-0 for this to hit. Or so they would, in order for them, if you want to bet on the Whitecaps to score 4 or more goals today, it pays out at plus 900 on bet99.com. So if you're feeling very confident and you put down $5 on the Whitecaps to pull off a 4-0 win, or anywhere where they have more than 4 goals, you get the total win is $50 back.
Hey, if you're feeling it, and like you said, with the Whitecaps crowd going to be one of the biggest that we've seen in British Columbia this year, it might be a possibility. So yeah, like you said, $5, and you're getting some good money back from Bet99.
Can I, you know what? I'm going to throw down a scenario here. The Whitecaps are going to be up like 4-0 in like the final minutes, and then it's going to be like Freddie Montero that scores somehow in like the 94th or 95th minute just to like
snatch
the Cascadia Cup away. Like, we know
just so he gets to raise it in front of the BC Place crowd. Oh yeah, that would be very fitting for Whitecaps. But hey, like, I'd take it.
Like, we know what's going to happen already. There's 2 options. That's either going to happen, or somehow this like 94% chance of the Whitecaps are going to make the playoffs just doesn't happen, because that is very Vancouver of them to occur.
It is very Vancouver. I've thought of that, but I've tried to talk myself down from that cliff may be happening. So
now, one more question here before I go, or before we let you go. Do you see any parallels? I know that the Seattle Sounders a couple years ago probably had the greatest mid-season turnaround in MLS history. Do you see any parallels between that team and this Whitecaps team?
Yeah, I do, because for that Sounders team, you saw some additions and some players coming back from injuries, and I think we saw the same with the Whitecaps this year, the addition of Ryan Gauld and Lucas Cavallini. He's not so much in the mix of things right now, but he was injured for a long time, and that kind of let Brian White emerge off the bench as an option for the Whitecaps, and he's just flourished right now. So can definitely see it. I mean, being bottom in the table in the Western Conference standings in August, and now they have a chance to possibly come out of things fifth in the West. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know that if the Whitecaps somehow make the playoffs, the Italian community in Vancouver is going to be going nuts for their boy. So that should be an interesting watch. What is it? It's what's the Italian street? Commercial Drive in Vancouver, especially if the Whitecaps win tonight. There's going to be a pretty big party there.
Yeah, Vanni Sartini will be one fired up coach, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, Josh, thank you very much for joining us here on this special MLS Decision Day UFO show. Hopefully some of these bets land. Hopefully we get to see some Whitecaps playoff games, and it could be against bitter rival Portland if the Whitecaps play their cards right.
Yeah, it would be nice for a Cascadia Cup match. Unfortunately, well, actually, I think the borders might be open by that, so we could see a troop of traveling Whitecaps supporters down there supporting the team if it happens to be in Portland. But either way, it would just be really nice for the Whitecaps to get things done on their own with a draw or a win, and not let it come down to the other teams. And then Vancouver Whitecaps fans can see playoff MLS action for the first time since 2017.
And before you go, we do have our first goal of MLS Decision Day. The New York Red Bulls have scored here. Let's see.
On Nashville,
yes, and so you can already check you can already check on MLS.com, MLSsoccer.com, and you can already see that the standings have changed a little bit in the East. So it is going to be an exciting day all throughout the day. Make sure to have that page, the standings page, up at MLSsoccer.com. Yes, New York is now in 5th place, Atlanta's in 6th, and Orlando's in 7th. And Montreal, their playoff hopes are dwindling by the second. So make sure to check that out. Make sure to check out the Whitecaps. I think kickoff is at 3:30, correct?
Kickoff is going to be at about 3:08, if I believe 3:08 or 3:11. I always forget which one it is.
Okay, so even if you can't make it out down to the game, make sure to turn on TSN, check out some Whitecaps, and cheer them on, and hopefully we can see some playoff action.
Absolutely.
So once again, thank you, Josh, for joining us. This has been the UFO Show on the Area 51 Sports Network, brought to you by Bet99.com.